Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Steve Sawyer, co-founder of the Developmental Trauma Training Institute here. Very cold morning here in Bend, Oregon, so we're out here, but we're enjoying the sunrise. So thanks for all of you that signed up and joined us and are following us. So grateful to all of you. And in today's time, a lot of people are stressed and every day thinking about how I can support, help others, and talk about the developmental trauma ties to what people are going through right now through this organization. We try to share that information constantly. So in that, wanted to talk a little bit more about things that came off of my last video. So those of you that missed the last live, go back in our timeline and watch the one where I shared a technique to manage some of your current stress state if you've got that going on. I talked about hypervigilance, and hypervigilance is a stress state where we're externalized exteroception. People with developmental trauma become experts in exteroception. And I'm grateful to my wife, Carrie Sawyer, who's in charge of our somatics department, who's taught me so much about that. So thank you. And when we grow up in developmental trauma, we become very externalized because we're in an environment, if we're growing up where there's a lot of stress in a household, if we're in a time there's a lot of stress going on, a lot of our earliest bonds with our parents or caregivers, for those of you that didn't grow up with parents in your household, we become externalized towards safety, enacting safety for ourselves, but most importantly, our parents are supposed to, or our caregivers are supposed to represent safety to us. And when we're externalized in a household where there's stress, conflict, any form of conflict, it could be violence, it could be silence, lacking approval, a parent communicating safety to us when we make a mistake. There's lots of forms of how this develops in developmental trauma. And this experience with being externalized is this check for being okay. Am I okay right now? Am I safe? And right now there's a lot of stress in the public environment around things that are changing, and there's lots of things that can create and enact a state of exteroception in today's world. And I mentioned it in the last live that being on our social media devices can feed us messages of hope or safety, depending on who your friends group is and who your feeds are coming through from. We know that AI is influencing a lot of that, and a lot of the feeds right now are feeding us a lot of fear, and rightfully so, for what a lot of people are going through. This plays off of our developmental trauma roots. So our developmental trauma roots will be activated to this state of that we get programmed in early childhood. And this ties into a couple areas of the brain. The amygdala is in charge of searching for safety. It's like, I always use the metaphor of a smoke alarm. It's smelling for danger at all times. And then the periaqueductal gray is the area of the brain that enacts action to instill safety. And in trauma science, people talk about fight, flight, and freeze. Having some feeds coming up where I'll talk more of differentiating fawning response from the experience of appeasing, a different caregiver survival technique. But these baseline programmings we receive early in childhood cause us to respond in a similar pattern that we're programmed with in childhood. So with the feeling of being unsafe or threats in the environment around us, no matter what they are, whether it's in our own household, whether that's financial stress, whether that is political environment, these external variables that create a feeling of not being safe enact the roots. And my big training program launching, I think it's next month and month after that, Digging Roots, is about really taking a deep dive and examining our roots as a child, some assessment, things like that, that are driving this stress response from within us through our neurophysiology. And this gets stirred by external environmental factors. So this is how developmental trauma really cripples us as we develop and as we live our lives, even well into adulthood, because the stress response has been programmed, and that stress response comes alive by external factors. It triggers this action in the brain, this activation, a need to act. And that stress state then influences how we interact with others relationally. It interacts and drives how we pursue our day-to-day life from maybe a crisis state, trying to fix, manage, or control things in our life at the current time because of this deep inner programming. This is how childhood stress states, whether you believe you experience developmental trauma or not, how we manage stress is given to us very early in life. That is modeled by our parents. It is programmed deeply in the roots of our nervous system and the midbrain, and it's very reflexive in nature. So this reflexive response that we have when we have environmental factors that are going on that are threatening outside of us, or that we're perceiving as threatening, enact a feeling of needing to take some form of action, activation. And that falls in these categories of fight, flight, freeze, etc. Hypervigilance is the source of what modern day psychologist or therapist might diagnose as an anxiety disorder, anxiety response. The deepest forms of those will act in a way of panic attacks, and this basic ongoing feeling of dis-ease. My friend Gabor Mate and I talk about that on panels together once in a while, about this dis-ease that lives in the nervous system. This comes from early childhood programming, and it comes alive by current events. So we become externalized towards trying to assess threat, and then to act upon that threat to instill safety. Samuel Butler quoted that self-preservation is the first law of nature. So the first law of nature being that we preserve ourselves, then we would move towards acting on behalf of our family. When you look at maternal instinct or paternal instinct, parenting instinct is to protect our family, our children, and we'll do that even at our own expense. That's the laws of nature, mother bear protecting her cubs, etc. So this state of hypervigilance is externalized. So any form of external searching for safety, we become highly influenced by external messages. So this is where social media becomes, in today's modern world, a very significant impact on our nervous systems. It affects our children. It affects us. So as I mentioned last time, to get closer to safety, highly encourage that look closely at how much you're feeding yourself with social media. We can find laughs there. Last night I watched a couple videos that made me laugh, and laughter is really good for us. It really hits deep in our nervous system, and it can be the opposite, and it can be constantly inoculating us with fear. So I shared that quick coherence technique last feed for going internal and focusing in our heart region and in our breath, because we come back to here, we come back to our body to assess safety and to be connected here in our sense of self. I talked a little bit about that last time. When we focus internally on that sense of self, particularly the heart, this really influences the electricity of our body. The heart being the epicenter of the electricity of our body, actually 60 times the amplitude of our brain's electricity, can stabilize the electricity of our body and our nervous system. So I encourage you to go back and watch that one and share that one. That technique is really simple. But today I wanted to share another solution, which is getting outside, out of the noise of the household and our environment. It's cold, like I shared earlier, right now, and it's chilly out here. But I really practice a discipline of being outside and away from stressors and in the stability and what scientists call it the coherent environment that nature creates. This is where nature is such powerful stabilizer for our nervous systems. For those of you that are staying inside, it's tougher in winter time. We have to really dress to get outside. But I'm here right now. The sun just rose, watching the sunrise, feeling its warmth, and then being in this external environment. There's lots of studies from the Institute of Heart Math around environmental stability and its influence on the human nervous system. We've seen the posts and studies that are out there in social media about being outside. And I wanted to share a number 2 technique around these current stress states that people are experiencing. When we're in a state of hypervigilance and we're searching externally, getting outside isn't just an external experience. So I go outside, I walk outside, I watch this sunrise, I'm with the trees and the peace and quiet of the outdoors. And most importantly is then to focus on the felt sensation in our body of that. That ties us in electrically and electromagnetically into the environment around us. This is not pseudoscience. This isn't woo-woo. This is very measured in science. And it's been known for thousands of years to get outside and to be in an environment that we go outside and be with nature to find clarity and ultimately to be safe in this environment. For those that grow up in an urban environment and it's a lot of indoors or city environment, it's a little different experience. We watched that a lot when young people were out in a therapeutic program in the wilderness, etc. But you settle into this different space, and it literally changes the electricity of our body. Sitting on the ground right now is what I'm doing, even though it's quite cold. Because this ties into the electricity of the body also. In trauma therapy world, we talk about grounding, being grounded, and actually sitting on the ground is, there's lots of studies out there about what this does with the electricity of the body too. So for the state of externalized hypervigilance that people are experiencing right now with political environment, with financial environment, with illnesses, etc., a lot of people feeling in a state of crisis. Number 2 solution to this struggle is to get outside, sit on the ground, connect with the environment around you, and most importantly, feel that in your body, feel the sense of connection. This goes back to that developmental trauma piece I'm talking about of connection to our caregivers to find safety. We can do the same thing by sitting on the ground and connecting with the natural environment, the earth, to feel a safer presence in our body and our nervous system. This is old knowledge, thousands of years old. We now sit in chairs. We stay inside where we're comfortable with the temperature and adjustment of our furnaces. And all valuable. It makes life easier for us. But don't forget to get outside, connect with nature, and most importantly, take the step as you recognize beauty that's around you in this environment that is safe and stable. Notice its influence on the electricity in your body. Just feel the connectedness to it. This is the same way that we experience the feeling of connectedness to somebody we loved when they hug us. When a caregiver in early childhood would hug us, if we got that, this is what creates a sense of connection and safety. Do that with outdoors. Some of us might not have caregivers present in our life in terms of parent figures anymore, etc. And this environment can create that. All we have to do is simply go outside, sit in it, connect with it. It's really simple to shift this state of hypervigilance to a state of stability, stabilizing our electricity, enacting our most powerful safety mechanism in the human brain is our attachment pathway. This is been created in our nervous systems from the earliest inception of life. And again, as mentioned before, this could have been compromised by the household you grew up in. But by to sit and be in this safe environment, that part of our brain can come back online. We can build that connection. We can strengthen it by spending more time outdoors and connecting with this very stable environment of nature that oversees all these things that are going on that are maybe stressing you out. The stability of nature, a tree, if you're in a city, a park, doing that on a disciplined process every day can help you come out of an activated stress state. So that's what I'll share for today. Thanks for joining us. This is our first Trauma Responsive Tuesdays. For DTTI, we wanted to take action and make action on this stress state that so many people are in right now, and tie this into connecting also to some of our trauma that drives and is fed by what's going on in our lives today in the modern world: financial stress, environmental stress and catastrophe, or the political environment, etc. So thanks for joining us. Happy to have and see so many people following us. Thank you. We're going to do this every Tuesday, and thank you to the DTTI team for organizing this. And when I'm maybe on a plane or flying or something like that, we have people that are going to fill in, that are going to share their knowledge, advanced knowledge on trauma, developmental trauma, and managing stress in today's world, bringing ourselves out of a trauma stress state while there's struggle going on. So thanks for joining us today. Until next Tuesday, get outside. Just look around you. Beauty exists everywhere around you. So make sure you do that and feel that connection in your body today to find a more stable place to operate from. Thanks for joining us. Have a beautiful day.